Nutrients for cognition?
There are at least a dozen nutrients linked to our risk for cognitive issues. So let's focus in on just three of them. Let's look at ergothioneine, vitamin K, and choline. Ergothioneine is an antioxidant amino acid that our bodies don't use to make proteins, but it still has lots of biological roles, including in cognition. Not only is higher level of dietary ergothioneine linked to lower risk of dementia, but in a 2020 randomized controlled double-blind clinical trial, both in normal healthy adults and adults with mild cognitive impairment, 5 milligrams of ergothioneine per day, that's about what you would get in a cup and a half of regular old white mushrooms, significantly improved verbal memory, composite memory, working memory, reaction time, psychomotor speed, complex attention, and sustained attention. And in a 2019 study of older adults, those who consumed 2 servings of mushrooms per week or more, mushrooms being our most reliable food source of ergothioneine, had a 57% reduced risk of mild cognitive impairment compared to the older adults who consumed mushrooms less frequently than once per week. There's also a strong link between low vitamin K and cognitive impairment. In a 2022 study, they used serum markers to assess vitamin K insufficiency and found a 65% increased risk of cognitive impairment just compared to having sufficient levels. And in a 2022 study, increasing dietary vitamin K over 2 years was associated with better cognitive function scores, including semantic verbal fluency test and mini mental state examination. And a 2011 study showed that higher dietary choline was also associated with better cognitive performance, including a 40% improvement in verbal memory and a 34% improvement in spatial memory. A 2021 study showed that adults with higher dietary choline had a 40% lower risk of low cognitive function compared to the study participants with the lowest dietary choline. Now, I know it's tempting to hear about these 3 nutrients and want to run out and buy supplements. But remember, this is just 3 out of at least a dozen nutrients linked to cognitive function. Yet another reason why Nutrivore is such an important dietary concept. The goal of Nutrivore is to get all of the nutrients our bodies need from the foods we eat, ideally without unnecessary dietary restriction, so it becomes a sustainable eating pattern you can keep going with your entire life. And if that sounds good to you, I do recommend grabbing a copy of my book, Nutrivore. It has everything you need to understand the in and outs of nutrient-dense eating.